Hey everybody, it is your boy NCSO7 here. Welcome to a video that is very close to my heart. Today I am going to be reviewing Huniepop. And before I get into this, I just want to preface, this is entirely my opinion. Everything in this video is opinion. While I do think that there are some objective flaws with this game, my thoughts on it are purely opinion, and do not let that control your opinions. If you like this game, then good for you. I'm glad you were able to. Just know that. And with that being said, I despise this game, but let's break it apart. And I may as well preface as well that if you think that this is going to be a positive review, if you just didn't pay attention to the title, you might want to watch a different review, because I am not going to hold back, because if you couldn't already tell based on my tone, I don't like this game, and I'm going to tell you exactly why that is, and I am not holding back. So, let's get into it. Starting off with the presentation. Now, basically, if you don't know what Huniepop is, it's a game that's basically a hybrid between a puzzle game as well as being a dating simulator, which I put that last part in air quotes because we'll get into that later. But honestly, there's really not a lot to say about the presentation that's bad. In fact, the idea is actually quite solid. But you'll figure out quickly why this falls apart extremely quickly. But it's not a bad idea, and the game visually looks good. Honestly, my favorite part of the game is the art for the game, because all the art in the game is incredibly nice, and the character designs are really solid, which hurts even more considering we'll talk about them in a second. But honestly though, my biggest issue with the visuals in this game is that there's no optimization or performance settings at all. This game was released in 2015. I feel like this game should have been made in HD, but it's not, which is a little odd. I don't know. It's not the biggest issue in the world, but I don't know. I would have liked the game to be in HD. This was 2015. There's no excuses, but it doesn't matter too much, because like I said before, art is great, the characters' designs are great, and that's what you'd want for a visual dating simulator. So let's move on to the story, which I'm going to spend probably a year on this, so you better hold on to your seats. Now, story-wise, the game doesn't really have a story as much at all. Basically, the story's literally just you're trying to score, if you know what I mean. That's pretty much the story. Honestly, there's not really much of a story at all, but hey, that's fine. It's not like it really needs that extensive or deep of a main plot, but what it comes down to is the characters, and that kind of makes up a dating simulator, because with dating simulators, it's meant to kind of have you date a fantasy girl. Well, how are the girls in this game? Not good, and I'll tell you why. While I did mention before that they have great designs, these girls are nothing. There is nothing to these girls. All that's interesting about them is their bland personality that's pretty much just a one note, then a bullet point list of stuff about them. Seriously, let's take a look at a different game. Doki Doki Literature Club. This is a game where you spend time with the girls and you actually learn about them. It's not just these random things. Remember how in DDLC, Natsuki just mentions her father once and then never again, and never again does any of her character have to do with that? Yeah, that's basically what this game is. All the characters in this game feel absolutely flat. There's a bullet point list and they have likes and dislikes and whatnot, but it doesn't feel like that's actually who they are. It's just stuff they like or whatever that is. And my main issue with it is that you can't hold conversations with them. You know how in an actual relationship, you hold conversations with people and you actually get to know them well? Well, that is not in this game at all. You have a couple of options, and I'll get into this more so in the gameplay section, but you can talk to them. Any conversation only lasts about 2 dialogue lines, and that's it. You barely get to know about them. The only things you really get to know are stuff that you wouldn't really care about. You can ask them about when their birthday is, what they do for work, which okay, that's not a bad question, but their cup size, come on, why is that necessary? And even worse, they quiz you on it sometimes as well when you talk to them. Sometimes they'll quiz you on themselves. Everything is about them. Why? I don't get it, and I'll get into that a little bit more later, but seriously, why can't you have actual conversations with them to actually develop even like some stories revolving the characters. It's not like they have to be super deep. Hell, I can understand if at first they won't tell you their secrets. I mean, that's fair. But seriously, why is there like not enough to these characters? Why is there no real backstory to these characters? All it is just a bullet point list on their Tinder profile and that's it. There's nothing else to them. There's not enough character here at all to really keep you engaged. It feels more like I'm talking to a robot. And I understand that these are fake, fictional girls, but like seriously, like I said, Doki Doki Literature Club, that game's girls felt real. Persona 5, the girls in that game felt real. Not even just girls, the characters felt real. Fire Emblem Three Houses, they feel real. These girls in Huniepop do not feel real. They feel like computers. They feel like robots. And I mean, if that were the plot twist, that'd honestly be a better game, honestly. But no, it's not. And I'm only started too. Remember what I said before about how all the stuff that you don't care about and how they seem to only care about themselves? Well, yeah, that's the thing. Because basically in this game, you have to win them over. And you know how in relationships, I mean, I know everyone's relationship is different. And to be fair, I really shouldn't even be talking about this because I don't have a lot of relationship experience. But I don't really feel like a relationship should be one way. I feel like it should be going both ways. If I'm giving you one thing, you should be giving me something back. That way it feels like we actually work well together. In this game, you're pretty much doing all the giving. The girls, they don't give two damns about you at all. You can shower them with presents, take them on a date, F up the date, and then they'll be the most ungrateful pieces of shit I've ever met. That's how real we're getting. They're so ungrateful. And that's part of the issue with their characters, that most of them have these cool personalities, but then when you fail a date, they act like the most ungrateful things in the world. I remember I was on a date with Kiana, who is a girl that I actually kind of liked. And then I was 3 points away from succeeding. And then and then when I failed, she says how, like, along the lines of, I can't believe I missed a workout for that. And I remember reading that and I was just like, are you effing kidding me? I literally do everything for you and that's how grateful you are? In real life, I would have cut the relationship right there. I wouldn't even have given her a ride home. What the hell am I gonna do if you're not gonna be grateful and yet I'm giving you everything? I wouldn't even do that in the first place. Seriously, is this supposed to be a simp simulator or something like that? Because I don't want to be a simp. I'm sorry for ranting so much, but this is going to be a ranty review because I've got a lot of opinions. This is not realistic, and this game tries as hard as hell to be realistic, but it fails really badly. Seriously, why are they so ungrateful? I don't know. But overall, the characters in this game are just not good, and it really hurts because, I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I think conceptually they're actually quite cool. And if they were fleshed out, you know, maybe they'd actually be more interesting. But that's the thing. They're not fleshed out. There's no depth at all, aside from what you see in the bedroom. There's nothing to these girls at all. And when they act all ungrateful and stuff like that, which completely, like, is not in tune with the rest of their character, it really breaks the immersion of the game, which mostly ruins the game because this is a dating simulator. Yes, there's a puzzle game, which we'll get in that in a second, but seriously, this is a dating simulator, and if the girls aren't likable or have no depth or aren't engaging enough, then you screwed up big time. I'm sorry. I'm done for now at least, but story and characters wise, it's terrible. The characters in this game are awful. And it pains me because they have good designs. They have potential, but there's nothing to them. They feel like robots. They feel very one note. There's not enough to them. But I'm done harping on that. Moving on to the gameplay of this game. Now, I mentioned before that this is a puzzle game, and if you want me to explain the puzzle game aspect to you, it's Candy Crush. It's freaking Candy Crush. I was originally going to say that I hadn't played Candy Crush, but looking at videos online, it looks like the same thing. But no, I actually downloaded Candy Crush and played it for my first time this year to actually see how similar it is. And the gameplay is like pretty much the same thing, except for a couple of changes here and there. Yeah. Like, you have a set amount of moves, you gotta match 3s in a row or more. That's pretty much Candy Crush, and that's pretty much Huniepop. It's one thing if the puzzle system was similar, inspired by Candy Crush. Not just pretty much copy and pasted with just a few differences. I don't know, but you also have a bunch of other options too. Like I said, you can give gifts to them. That way you can get some more money to improve some of your stats and whatnot. And you can also talk to them and you can learn stuff about them that you have absolutely no care about, like what their favorite color is. Is that really important? Is it really important for them to quiz you on it? Like everything's about them? No respect. They are not loyal. But I'm losing track. One thing I will say about this game is that this game is hard, and I mean really hard. I played this game on easy, and oh my god, even some of the first dates took me some time. And while yes, it took me a little time to actually get used to the game and whatnot, I could not get past most of the dates eventually just because of the fact that the game literally does not give you enough moves. There's not enough moves. The game's not getting easier at all. Is that their idea of easy? Seriously, I've failed so many dates, even on easy mode. Is that their idea of easy? To let you know how hard the game is, it's easier to make relationships in real life. And that's hilarious. That's honestly pretty funny. The fact that real life is easier, even though the whole point of a dating simulator is to give you that experience in the most easy way possible. I don't know. I don't know how they could have done that, but they sure did it. And yeah, that's pretty much the gameplay of the game, pretty much. And yeah, I mean, gameplay-wise, it's okay enough, but like, not only is the puzzle aspect completely copied from Candy Crush with slight changes, yeah, I don't know. The game's fine. I mean, like I said at the beginning, it has potential, but it just doesn't do enough for me. So gameplay-wise, it's a meh. Especially considering if you can't really progress in the game, what's the point? And since the girls aren't really giving you a good reason to stick around anyways, what's the point of playing this game? Now moving on to controls, the game's fine. I mean, honestly, this would work better on like my phone or something like that. Though I did play this game with a touchscreen laptop, and that actually worked quite well. It actually is much more fun to play with a touchscreen laptop. So definitely use one of those to play the game if you want to. Not that you should, though. But anyways, that's that. And now moving on to the amount of content in this game. Content-wise, I don't really care, honestly. The game has enough content. It's like $10. You can get a good amount of playtime out of this game, but like me, you'll stop after like 4 hours and make a video like this ranting about why it's the worst thing in the world. But I don't know. It's just, content-wise, it's fine, but the actual content that's there is either questionable, or I don't care about it, or it frustrates the hell out of me. And now, moving on to the, not really the last thing, but the last main thing, music and the soundtrack for the game, and it's actually pretty good, honestly. I think the music in this game is quite good. I like the main theme, I like the campus theme, I also like the beach theme as well. The music in this game is actually quite good. I'll give them that. And now moving on to my final thoughts. Jesus Christ, I'm already getting a little bit of a headache just from making this video, but I don't really care because I want to make this anyways, because this is exactly how I felt when I was playing the game. And Huniepop was an absolute disappointment of a game. I honestly tried going into it with an open mindset. I had a little money left over on my Steam wallet, and I was like, hey, why don't I go get Huniepop? I've heard about the game before. Maybe it'd be a good time. And it's absolutely not a good time. In fact, it's actually a very bad time. At least to me personally. And honestly, it really boils down to that whole not having conversations with the girls. And I know it might sound like a minor complaint, but seriously think about it. You can't hold conversations with them that are longer than 2 sentences. And they don't really talk about themselves much at all. And you're just supposed to remember stuff like, oh, what their cup size is, or oh, what their favorite flower is, or whatever that jazz is. You don't learn about them. There's no struggles or anything like that you try to push through. There's no sense of progression at all. There's no feelings of depth at all. It's just awful. Honestly, they feel more like dolls instead of actual people. And the whole point of these games is to make it feel you're actually talking to real people. And They just aren't. They're boring. They just lack any real depth. Like, seriously, here's a couple things that I would change about the game that aren't even big changes, but could actually really help out the game. Number one, have conversations with them that are longer than 2 sentences. Let's say that after every successful date, you have a long discussion with them and they kind of delve more into their stuff. Like, let's use Tiffany, for example. Let's say after the first date, she mentions stuff about her cheerleading and how she isn't doing nearly as well and that she's trying to get out of the slump. And throughout, like, her arc in the game, you actually try and help her get through that. That would actually be a sense of progression. It would make more sense why you would actually sleep with her. I think that'd be a good idea. But instead, no, there is no real progression at all. It doesn't really feel like it's advancing at all. It doesn't even feel like the relationship's advancing at all. It feels the exact same with 4 hearts as it does with 1 heart. I just don't get it. So that's why I say make it so that way you actually have conversations with them. Number 2, make the game easier. Make it so that way it's not as easy to fail. And number 3, make them more grateful. Seriously, if them acting so ungrateful like Kiana was really off-putting. Like, imagine if in Fire Emblem 3 Houses, you were having a tea time with Claude, and you fail the tea time. Imagine if at the very end, the last thing he says is, "Thanks for wasting my time." Honestly, I think a lot of people would start to hate Claude after that, but apparently everyone loves Kiana. I guess it's gotta be those boobs, man. Everyone's too blinded by those boobs to really see anything else. Huh? But seriously, make them more grateful. Make it feel more like a relationship. Actually have them give back even a little bit. Give me a reason to care about you. Give me a reason to become attached to you. Stop breaking the immersion, because all that's gonna do is not make me attached to you, and then I question why I'm even playing this game. There's nothing to be attached to other than their designs and their voices, which admittedly their voice actors are actually pretty good, honestly. I'll say that's one thing I like about them, but there's not enough depth to them, and I feel it's just sad. And I know I'm dwelling on this one aspect a lot, but like, seriously, this is a dating simulator, and because of the girls being so flat and not likable, at least in my opinion, it really hurts the game. And I'm going to make a tier list of the girls in this game in the future, and I'll kind of discuss it in further detail for each individual girl. But like, while there were a couple that I liked, there were also some I just didn't like. But I don't know. But getting past that, all the other stuff in the game is okay. The gameplay, while it is copy and pasted from another game, it's not the worst thing in the world. The gameplay is at least fine enough. And the game looks fine, but there's also really not a lot, really, like, there's no performance settings or really anything. I know it's an older game, but like, it was still made at a time when HD was a thing, you know? But finally getting to the actual score. On my scale of 0 to 10, I give Huniepop a 3.5 out of 10. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I had to sit on this and sleep on this for quite a while. There were times where I was just like, am I being a little too harsh? But I think I am, because honestly, the only things that really save this game, except not really, is the presentation, the art, the character designs, and the music. That is the only stuff that saves this game. The characters, I don't like them. The gameplay, okay, but it's copy and pasted from another game. It doesn't feel unique enough. And everything just feeling kind of meh. Only things I can say is the music and the art for the game. I hate to give it this low of a score, honestly, because I know there are a lot of people that do like this game, but I can't help it. It's happening, because since the characters are so unlikable, well, that kind of ruins the entire point of it being a dating simulator game. I mean, think about it. Like, if your game is completely based, the core of your game is based on these characters, and if they're mostly unlikable or just very lacking in depth, then the whole game is broken at that point. The game failed at what it was supposed to do. So that's why I give it such a low score. And honestly, I never thought anything would beat the Nocturne remaster in terms of like a lowest score possible, but I think we just saw it today, folks. And this is not only like the lowest scored game on these reviews that I've done, but it's also, at this point in time, my least favorite game ever. This game frustrates the hell out of me. I would not recommend playing this game if you haven't. It's sad, to be honest, but you know what's worse? There's a sequel, and there's like another game as well, like a business game that I'm not playing, but yeah, there's a sequel, and yeah, I'm going to talk about it, and I'll give my thoughts on that game once that happens, but until that time comes, thank you for watching. I mean, if you're still here, thank you, because I know I was probably a pain to listen to this time, but don't worry. Next review, I'll be more nice. See, we'll talk about Stray next time, an actually good game, so yeah, look forward to that, but let me know whether or not you agree or disagree with me, and yeah. And if you're new here, I don't know how much I want to tell you guys to subscribe just because of how pissy I was throughout this whole video, but check out my other stuff at the very least, because I've got some better stuff. Stuff that's not nearly as obnoxious as this one. I know this is a tough video to watch, but like, it had to be done. It had to be done. I have these opinions and I want to talk about this game. But anyways, I'm going on for too long. Thank you guys for watching this video. I appreciate it, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out and take care, and let's hope to God I never have to give a score this low again in my life.